If you truly want to find the most independent, refreshing, and sometimes bizarre gaming experiences, you would go to itch.io. If you aren't familiar with the platform, itch.io is a website for independent digital creators to sell their games and accompanying assets with almost complete freedom over everything, from the price of the game to the design of the sales page and much, much more. As of 2022, the platform hosts over 500,000 games and items, and creators can take home as much as 100% of their revenue due to the platform's open revenue sharing model. But when the site launched in 2013, the success that it enjoys today was not expected or even planned in the first place. Earlier that year, Leif Corcoran, the creator of itch.io, initially just had the goal of programming his own computer language, called Moonscript, which, in Leif's words, is the first programming language inspired by the popular anime Sailor Moon. Later, he wanted to do something with this new language, so he started making games. So when Leif set up itch.io for the first time, it was simply as a place to host and sell his games. He wasn't trying to totally revolutionize his system. Even the name itch.io wasn't planned. Leif stated that he bought the domain the previous year, so he used it for this project. In 2012, Steam had just debuted a new program called Greenlight, where users could vote for games they would like to see added to the Steam service, as well as provide feedback to game developers. The problem with Greenlight, as Leif put it, was that there was a sort of gatekeeping in the way of new titles, and Leif wanted a freer distribution platform without this resistance on itch.io. He was additionally inspired by Bandcamp, a platform where musicians can easily share their music with fans and be directly supported through the website. Leif thought that the same concept could be applied to indie game developers who wanted a simple and easy way to share their games. However, this first version of itch.io opened to practically zero fanfare. Leif stated that most of the people that did react to the launch simply said something like, "Why do we need another store for this?" Luckily for Leif, a breakthrough for the platform came in 2014. That year, the hugely popular Flappy Bird mobile game was removed from mobile app stores in February. That same month, a game dev by the name of SumPX hosted the Flappy Jam Game Jam through itch.io. Flappy Jam got a lot of attention due to the Flappy Bird hysteria, bringing hundreds of new users to the site. To this day, game jams are still an important part of itch.io. One particular game jam, hosted by the Game Maker's Toolkit, saw over 22,000 participants who created over 6,000 games in 2022. After the Flappy Jam, Leif needed to put much more work into the site because instead of 1 or 2 games being uploaded a day, itch.io was now seeing between 250 to 500 games uploaded a week. With these new demands on the platform, bugs in the code were starting to make themselves known and itch.io would randomly start going down. And now the questions that were starting to dawn on Leif were, should I be looking for investors? Am I starting a real company? Although itch.io enjoys a degree of revenue now, this wasn't always the case. By the end of its first year, itch.io was home to over 350 titles, and since Leif had forgone transaction fees to extend promotion and lure in early supporters, he was paying for all the costs for itch.io out of his own pocket. Eventually, Leif took the plunge and using his savings from his job at Scribd, hired others to join in on the project in 2015. One of those hires was developer Amos Wegner, whose first assignment was to implement the cut slider for developers to choose the cut of sales to give to itch.io. The default of the slider is 10%, much lower than the 30% that the other platforms, such as Steam, take. In a gutsy move, Amos made it so that developers can bring that slider all the way down to 0, though Amos admits developers rarely do this. As Leif stated, it's an option in case creators need more money for food or rent, further cementing itch.io as one of the most developer-friendly platforms. But that isn't the only thing itch.io has done to support its community. In 2016, itch.io began providing a program called Refinery for developers. Unlike early access on other platforms, Refinery gives developers a staging area for their launch and, in typical itch.io fashion, gives developers a ton of control when it comes to distributing their game in this program, including limiting available game keys, offering tiered purchases, and including the option for a digital rewards program. This is unlike early access on other platforms, where developers might have to take a huge risk to release their potentially unpolished game to the public. With Refinery, developers can limit the exposure of their games in order to get vital information for polishing their titles without having to take large risks. Best of all, using Refinery is totally free. In 2015, Adam Saltzman, the developer of the survival strategy game Overland, spent months researching early access platforms for his game. He would pitch ideas on the types of features he would have liked to see for his early access game on these platforms, but they were all rejected or ultimately ignored, leaving Adam infuriated. Adam ended up running into Leaf at a developer event that same year, who, after hearing about Adam's frustrations, offered to custom build whatever Adam wanted for his early access release of Overland while it was in Refinery on itch.io. Overland ended up being one of the first titles to be featured in Refinery and has seen massive success across multiple platforms, including the Switch, PS4, and Xbox. In fact, the main reason why itch.io has been able to remain so popular is that it actively tries not to be like other platforms. It's itch.io's uniqueness and personability that sets it apart from other platforms and keeps it popular with independent developers. As the platform developed, Leaf would get increasingly odd requests from developers, such as from Alan Hazelden, who wanted the price for his title, A Good Snowman is Hard to Build, to have a launch period where the price of the game would be determined by the real-world temperature. Literally, within a day, Leaf said that he had implemented this control for the game. Another developer, named Takori, was able to customize their profile page on itch.io to very slowly zoom out over 800 seconds thanks to the freedom that itch.io gives developers for their profile pages. Over the years, Leaf and his team have been able to accommodate these weird and interesting requests, things that could not have been done on Steam or other larger game publishing platforms. And it's not just games that can be uploaded to itch.io. Creators can also upload things like books, music, and comics. It's also a place where users can go to raise money for different causes and charities, such as in June of 2020 during the George Floyd protests. itch.io organized the Bundle for Racial Justice and Equity, which raised over $8 million for the NAACP Legal Defense and Educational Fund, as well as the Community Bail Fund. Or, in March of 2022, when itch.io partnered with Microsoft Games and hundreds of other developers to launch the Bundle for Ukraine, which raised over $400,000 in just 24 hours. All money from the bundle went to the International Medical Corps and Voices for Children to provide assistance to civilians who have been impacted by the country's invasion by Russia. Now, in 2023, itch.io is encountering growing pains. For example, a growing user base comes with a growing number of game submissions, all of which are being manually reviewed by people. The only content that is rejected are things that are illegal or intentionally misleading, but it is still a massive amount of work for a small team. Work like this could be outsourced to bots, but that could be expensive and introduce the sort of artificial gatekeeping that Leaf was trying to avoid in the first place. Amos Wagner, the guy from before who helped develop the cut slider, thinks that the company will be at a happy place with 40 to 50 employees, but the concern with growing too big is legitimate for a company with a humble foundation that's just trying to offer an alternative commerce solution for games. But for now, the fact remains that itch.io is one of the most developer-friendly platforms with some of the most unique gaming experiences that you can find today. For a company born in Silicon Valley, resisting the urge to taking in investors or selling off the platform entirely is a monument to their resolve to sticking to their core values. It has never been a better time to be a digital content creator for itch.io, or even to pull up the platform, go to the new and popular page, and click on the first thing that you see. That's all for today, everyone. If you liked the video, feel free to leave a thumbs up below, and if you want to keep up with more content like this, feel free to hit the subscribe button as well. But thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.